Hi there friends, if you're new to my channel, my name's Nicole and I'm here today with a review of The Twilight Zone at the Almeida Theater. So I went to see The Twilight Zone on Monday the 11th of December. It is a show based on the TV series The Twilight Zone, which first of all, I have to admit, I've not seen. My exposure to The Twilight Zone is the Tower of Terror ride at Walt Disney World and the one that used to be in Disneyland. So, to be honest, every time they played that iconic Twilight Zone music, I felt a little bit queasy, because I associated, I think, in my mind so clearly with the ride. So that was a bit of a weird experience. And I did hear some other people during the interval talking about the Tower of Terror ride, so that was kind of funny. But in any case, aside from that, a really interesting show. I'm not typically one for much sci-fi stuff, and this was very, like, sci-fi based. It's about, like, the idea of aliens and nuclear fallout and space travel and other dimensions and the Twilight Zone and all these things. So it was really kind of new and interesting for me. If I'm being perfectly honest, I feel like in some ways I still don't know how I feel about it. Like, I really enjoyed it. I'm really glad that I'm not reviewing it for Broadway World because I write for them, because I wouldn't have been able to, like, formulate my thoughts on it immediately after seeing it. I will say, an incredible production. The performances from the actors are just wonderful. It's just the kind of thing that messes with your head a little bit, like it's a bit trippy. How they do it is it's like a series of different vignettes, and so they'll jump from one story to the next with these really interesting transitions. They've got these like big circular things with different like Twilight Zone type imagery on them. I do really enjoy that they don't take it too seriously. Like, they'll have a very serious moment. And sometimes I even got a little bit like jumpy or frightened, but then there are other bits where they kind of poke fun at the whole Twilight Zone thing and at that whole genre of sci-fi from the era that it was made in. The design of it was so cool with the different moving set pieces. There are, I think, like 7 doors in the set that they could bring things in and out of. They had actually quite a few like pieces of furniture and different things for the set. And I really like that they had actors in these like weird suits that matched the like dotty pattern of the set who would move everything, but it looked very like, you know, in the 50s and 60s what people thought that like space and the future was gonna look like. That was kind of, I feel like, the inspiration for it, which makes sense with the Twilight Zone series. But it made for some beautiful, beautiful costuming as well. Hold on, I have the name here. Nikki Gillibrand, I believe, did the costuming, and I thought that it was really nice. They had a lot of variety. I really loved the, like, futuristic costumes. I thought that was really a nice touch, almost reminiscent of, like, the Jetsons, like, that kind of idea of what the future would be. So, costuming was definitely a highlight for me, actually. The show was directed by Richard Jones, and I thought that he did a really nice job with it of keeping it all with a very cohesive feeling, even though they were telling so many different stories. It is a fairly large cast for a play like this, I feel like, and every person plays multiple roles, obviously, within each story. And I have to say, I was so impressed by, like, everyone in the cast and how they were able to transition between roles and do different things. I have 2 cast members that I want to give a shout out to. One is Lizzie Connolly. She played a lot of different roles, but I was particularly impressed with her as this, like, Catwoman type thing in a dream sequence. She also kind of had this very random song and dance bit. There was, like, no other real music in it as far as, like, singing goes. But I actually really enjoyed that part. It's a song kind of about your imagination. And I thought that she really smashed it out of the park. Now, the reason this actually was on my radar is because I saw Matthew Needham, who is in it as Benedict in Much Ado About Nothing at the Globe Theater, and had seen on Twitter that he was doing this next, so I thought I would check it out. I went with my friend Corin, who I also saw Much Ado with, and he really was quite impressive. Obviously, like, I loved his Benedict. He's a great actor, but I thought he did a really good job at really differentiating each of his characters. I also have to say, as an American watching it, it is set in America, so I really enjoyed that they actually had, like, many different American regional accents within it. Like, they weren't all speaking in that kind of American accent that I think a lot of times you get from actors outside of America. That's just a very, like, generic American accent. So I really liked that, like, I know Matthew Needham had several different accents for different characters, which I thought was really great. So I do feel like I need to give a shout out to, hold on, the dialect coach was Danielle Liddon, I believe is how you say her name. And so really amazing work in terms of dialects. I don't think this is like a huge spoiler, but my favorite part of the show, definitely like my favorite storyline, was the bit that's about kind of a in the case of nuclear fallout, if you knew that missiles are coming for America and only one family on the street has a bomb shelter, kind of what happens then? So it kind of deals with the family with the bomb shelter not letting their neighbors in, and then how the neighbors end up fighting and trying to make claims for why they're the best people who should be saved. And I thought that that part was so well done, so fascinating, so true too. Like, so many of the things that I heard, I was like, oh my god, I can imagine this fight happening on my street back home. So I thought that that was definitely the most compelling one to me. It also was, I think, perhaps the most serious of them, and also the one without like a sci-fi element to it. Because, I mean, obviously it's quite grounded in the Twilight Zone in that era, because it's a thing that people really were afraid of, and I think it's a thing that people right now are quite concerned with, especially in America. Like, we do feel, I think, the threat of nuclear war more than we have in the past few decades since kind of that time of the Cold War. So I thought that that was a really compelling bit to it. Alright, I don't really have that much more to say. I would actually highly recommend checking it out if you're into plays, if you're into the Twilight Zone, if you like sci-fi, if you just want to see something a little bit different than a traditional play. It is really interesting, really kind of messes with you, makes you think about things. And I did appreciate, because with something like the Twilight Zone, I'm like a very scaredy cat person, but I never, like, I jumped at a couple of things, but I wouldn't say, like, don't be worried that it's gonna, like, freak you out or anything like that. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Also, I would super appreciate it if you give the video a thumbs up to let me know that you liked it, and to let me know that you would like to see more theater reviews in the future. You also can subscribe to me and also click the notification bell if you want to be told whenever I upload a video. Right now I am uploading a video every day up until December 25th, Christmas, so make sure to check back in for more. You can find links to all of my social media and to my blogs down in the description box below, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye!